Hey guys, Slenderman here again. Today I just want to go over pretty much everything that has to do with healing. Healing dungeons, PvE, chest runs, wars, invasions, everything. Then I'll touch up on a little bit of PvP too, because I'm sure most of you already know healers are super hard to kill, especially in heavy armor. Um, and then I also want to go over the big debate about healing in heavy, medium, and light. Done a lot of testing and all the above, and I'm going to share with you my thoughts. Um, Now, with my current setup and pretty much every setup since I've been playing the game, I'm consistently hitting the top of the charts in wars and invasions, and I know that doesn't mean anything. I know that it's all about strategy and being on the point when needed, not fighting in between points, and stuff like that. I totally get that. I totally agree. But let's be honest, topping the charts is very fun. All right, it is. Period. Um, Now I'm not the best healer. I'm not even a great healer, but I'm pretty good. I have a pretty solid grasp on what's going on. We do speed runs through Lazarus and Genesis. We do everything. In PvP, when I'm dueling, I rarely lose a duel. Now, there's a lot of people that can beat me, okay, and I have been beat a lot. So I guess that doesn't really make sense, but probably 90% of the times I duel, I win. I either win or they just give up and run off. Seriously. I mean, you can't, it's so hard to take down a healer. And the only way I can go down is if I get stun locked. Hammers, oh my god, that's like a hard counter for me. All right, so first off, I want to start with the key bindings. Um, Key bindings are pretty important. One thing in particular, self healing. Self healing, when I think the default key is either Control or Alt, and I've tried both. Um, and in PvP, when you get all nervous, your heart's racing, you're about to die, and you don't hit the right button, or you press the wrong button and crouch or something like that, it feels terrible. You guys know what I'm talking about. So I've been messing around with a lot of settings, and the current setup I'm using right now, I'll show you, is self heal. Where is it? Target self. Mouse button. Mouse 4. So mouse 4 is one of my side mouse buttons, and it doesn't matter what you use, but for me, it is so easy to just hold my side mouse button. And for my mouse, it's the bottom one, or the back one. And it's so easy to heal myself. I'm not fumbling around trying to hit Control or Alt. I just hold it, bam, self heal. It's so much better. I strongly urge you to at least try it. Give it a shot. Makes a huge difference for me. The other thing is change weapons. Now this mainly applies for really any situation where your adrenaline's pumping, you're almost dead. You know that feeling. PUBG, man, when you're waiting around the corner, you can hear the guy's footsteps, and when you see him, you just start mashing buttons. I mean, that's what I do, and I try to train myself not to do it, but I do the same thing in this game. Um, so the point of that is switching weapons. When you have your secondary weapon out, axe, void gauntlet, whatever, and you need to pop a heal really quick, and you go to switch weapons, and you either switch too many times and you're back to the same weapon, or you try to switch, and whatever the case, switching weapons is super important. And I also use my mouse buttons. I use the other side, thumb button for one weapon for my life staff, and then I have a third button. I have the Razor Basilisk, and you can add this little third button on there, and I use that one for my secondary weapon, and then the other thumb button for my main weapon. And it doesn't matter which ones you guys use, but yeah, and if you try to like cycle weapons, that doesn't work for me either. I've tried that where you can just hit one button to change weapons, and I'm constantly just over switching, if that makes any sense. Like I go to switch to my life staff and I press it twice or it doesn't work. And you know how sometimes the game just messes up and it doesn't switch right? Well, that's all alleviated by dedicating two different buttons, one for one weapon slot, the other button for the other one. It just makes life so easier for me if you have enough mouse buttons. And then I don't use 1 and 2 for my buttons. I actually go in there and I change 1 and 2 for my potions, like every other damn game. Why they by default have like 3 and 4 for those consumables is beyond me. I know it's by default. I think 1 and 2 is for your, your first and your second weapons, but I don't have time to be playing around trying to find those keys when I'm in trouble. So yeah, mouse buttons for the weapon swapping, super good. I rarely have a mistake there, even when I get nervous and panic. I know which button is which, and it never fails. Never fails. So that's pretty much it for the key bindings. And of course, I change 1 and 2 for the pots. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Super simple, right? And I'm using 1 and 2 like all the time, every 5 seconds in Lazarus or Genesis, for real. So that takes care of the key bindings. Another thing I want to cover, and it's pretty important. I didn't find this out until way too late. I'm embarrassed to say. I'm not even going to tell you how long it took me to find this out. But one thing is in gameplay, I always have targeted healing on all the time. I forget which is default, but I never turn that off. And another thing that I have is that I switch off and on all the time. It's always alternating. Is targeted healing group mode. So, you know how you're in an invasion or a war, and this helps me get big time numbers on the war charts and stuff. When you're in a group of 5 and you have group mode on, you can't target people outside your group, same faction, same instance or war or invasion. You see somebody running around, they're almost dead, and you try to heal them, and it just cycles through your party. You guys know what I'm talking about? Let me see if I can get it to do it here. Group target on. Okay, see how it won't even let me cycle, but you know what I'm talking about, right? You just use your mouse wheel. That is so unreliable, but that's not even the point. With group mode off, you can still cycle through your own party, but if you see somebody standing in front of you, they're not in your group, and they need a heal, you can heal them. You just put your cursor on them and heal. It's so easy, so effective. It can be done super quickly. You don't have to cycle through anything. And you just target them. You press your direct heal. I'm talking about Light's Embrace. Okay, Light's Embrace is the single target heal, probably the best heal in the game other than Sacred Ground. Light's Embrace. So if you have group mode on and you see somebody standing in front of you that's outside your group, you can't heal them. You have to unlock it with your mouse button, put this thing right on their feet, and try to aim it without them moving. Good luck with that. I've got maybe 2 successful heals that way. So if you turn group mode, targeted healing group mode off, you can literally just aim your cursor at them and you can heal them. It'll automatically target them. And that brings me to, and now if you're in a dungeon, if you have group mode off, okay, and you try to cycle through your group when you're healing, and if somebody takes damage, you're trying to use your mouse wheel and you have group mode off, it's kind of wonky. It doesn't just cycle straight down or straight up depending on which way you use your mouse wheel. It's all over the place. It'll hit random people and it sucks. So if you're in a 5-man group in dungeons, expeditions, whatever, and you want to be able to heal effectively, I suggest you keep targeted healing group mode on. It just makes life so much easier. Now, on that same subject, when you're in a dungeon or anywhere, I have found out that no matter what setting you have with the group mode, you can heal anybody by just aiming your cursor at them and healing them. It is so much quicker than staring at your party frames and trying to use your mouse wheel. You know how many times I've messed up and healed the wrong person when my tank's about to die because I'm trying to scroll through and I go too fast, or your hands are a little bit cold and you're just not nimble enough to use your mouse wheel. I've done it so many times, and it's the worst feeling when you're healing a full health person in your group and your tank's about to die. Terrible feeling. So for me, the best way, the most efficient way, the quickest way, the most reliable way to heal somebody in my group is by looking at them, okay, bam, and then heal them. Oh my God, no, never mind. But yeah, it is so fast. So that would probably be my number one tip for any healers that are struggling to heal, having a hard time with that weird system using the mouse wheel to scroll through people. Just aim at them just like that and hit your lights and brace, and you will target them right away and heal them. Even if there's like one person right here, one person right here, I mean, it's so easy. And if you don't get the right person, either right click and get out of that heal and do it again, or try using your mouse wheel. But it is so much easier to just look at people and heal them. Even if they're far away, I will literally like run over, look at them, and then heal them instead of trying to cycle through the list, because it's so unreliable. It's so unreliable, and that's helped me so much. And that's pretty much it for the targeted healing. All right, now as far as gear, I have tried light, I've tried medium, I've tried heavy. Amazon is pushing so hard for us to go to light gear, but there's a very plain and simple fact. If you are dead, you cannot heal. If you are dead, you can't get those numbers. If you are dead, your other people are going to follow and they're going to die too. And light armor, yeah, you get some pretty fat heals, not going to lie. I mean, there's a pretty significant difference. But in dungeons, if you don't dodge right, you're dead in the hard ones. In wars, you get two people on you, you're dead. You're running around the whole time trying not to die instead of focusing on healing. Now, heavy armor is a great option. Absolutely fantastic option. You can still get nice big chunky 7k heals. You can survive. I could take 2 hits from Scylla in Lazarus, the wave that she does that normally one-shots people, and I can still survive. That keeps me alive so I can keep healing my tank. I can go res one of my party members that died in one shot. Ryu, not going to name anybody, but anyway. So, and Jelly. So heavy gear, until you really get the hang of dodging, getting the mechanics down, or if you want to just survive super long in wars, I still top the charts in healing in wars, invasions, and I could keep my group alive in the final dungeons, Lazarus and Genesis with heavy. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with heavy. And for a long time, that was a meta. Now, I don't know if it's still the meta, but I can tell you this. I've been playing around with medium armor, and I love it. I'm still able to survive in wars because I have more healing. And I'm able to survive in dungeons, and man, you can notice right away. You'll notice right away the bigger heals. It's pretty cool, and I've been rolling with medium armor ever since. It took me a long time to get out of my full heavy, but I finally made the switch, and I'm probably not going back. I'm gonna keep my heavy armor on, in my inventory when I go to wars and stuff. And if I just can't do it, I'm gonna switch back. But so far, those extra heals really do compensate for the extra armor that you don't have, and I can still survive. I'm getting some big numbers, and I think it's a great switch for me personally. Medium is the way to go, and heavy also great. Light armor, I can't do it. And another thing that you get is you get 3 dodges, 1, 2, 3 in medium armor. Light armor and heavy armor, you only get 2 dodges. That light armor dodge is great. You cover a lot of distance, but it doesn't matter what damaging ability you're trying to dodge. An iframe is an iframe. If you dodge at the right time, you're going to dodge it, and that's it. So having that extra dodge, having the extra heals, having somewhat good armor, because you can still wear a heavy chest. Look at all that armor and a heavy helmet, and you can still stay in medium. So the optimal loadout here is a heavy chest, or heavy helmet, heavy chest, medium gloves and boots, and light pants, and you're like right at the precipice, and I love it. I love it. It's great. It's tons of survivability, extra heals. I'm going to be rocking the medium going forward until they make some other stupid change that makes no sense. So that's pretty much it on the armor. I love it. Now as far as gear, I love having the void bent chest and helm because it has constitution, it has resilience. The invigorated, it's all right, but the luck is awesome. I don't have to constantly switch out of my gear when I'm running PvP stuff, doing those chest runs. I've got the max luck I can have on those two pieces of gear, and I love it. Um, Now, as far as the medium stuff that you want, there's no medium stuff that you can get that guarantees focus or just straight up constitution. Um, I had to pick between the main stats or a perk. And it was a really hard decision to make because I guarantee I had a what was it? The dryad gear that you can craft if you're a crafter, and it has constitution on it already, just like the void bed, same amount, and you can guarantee a perk. Well, the number one perk as a healer that you want, I mean, can't live without it, is fortifying sacred ground. That is so strong. The best perk that you can have in the game, I think, on armor. And yeah, you need to try to get that. So if you can craft something and you get lucky, and get the constitution, the focus, or just straight focus, or just straight constitution, and you can get that perk, then that's god tier in my opinion. So what I went with was a beast hunter hand wraps, and then I went for infused leather boots, and I crafted all this stuff trying to get those legendaries. And then for the light pants, I just went with Shade Walker. Now you can make different. There's like 3 different types of leather gear that you can make. One set has equal physical and elemental resistance. One has more elemental, and one set has more physical. So it just depends on your play style. And this is what I ended up going with. Same thing for the light gear. You can do the beast hunter for the medium. You could do the infused leather or like infused fur. And same thing with heavy armor. I don't know if whoops, sorry, if anybody knows that, but you've got the regular orichalcum gear that has either higher physical or higher elemental, or you can get the fur-lined orichalcum, which reverses it, vice versa. So that's how that works. So that's the differences between the different armor types. If you're wondering, like, why is all this still 500? I don't. There's no stats on it. Well, it's got different armor ratings, different armor ratings. So and I have a video showing, how I made some legendary stuff. It was pretty cool. I got a video on, how you do it. Basically, just using all the highest tier materials that you can get, having the food buff for your armoring, having the trophies, having all the earrings, the whole set of armoring gear. Anyway, that's another topic. So, yeah, I think for medium loadout, I think the void bent chest and helmet is great. And then, whatever medium gloves and boots you can get your hands on, and light pants. Um, Now, as far as the actual attributes go, I'm rocking exactly 300 focus, and I'm trying to get as much constitution as I can get. For PvP, I love having some strength in there. I use the 580 axe, which has a bunch of strength, and then I use this right here, the infinity crystal. Man, it's probably the best amulet in the game for healers, uh, for anybody, even though it has strength. I mean, the divine is great if you're a healer. The fortify from your sacred ground and all the other forms of fortify you can do is great. The health is great, but I just really wanted that focus, and I got luck at the same time, so I'm rocking that. But I switch these out all the time. Kind of throws my stats off, but yeah, I switch them out all the time. As far as rings go, I mean, you've seen videos, I'm sure, on the different, god tier, top tier rings you can get, but I had sacred and focus, and it was 550, so I'm good with that. And then the earring, again, I just wanted a high gear score to get this as much focus as I can, and the refreshing's pretty good. But there's much better rings and earrings than this, but this is what I have. This is what I was able to afford. I don't have my jewel crafting, and some of those jewelry pieces on the auction house, marketplace, whatever, are super expensive. I just couldn't afford it. So for now, that's what I've got. Not really worrying about my gear score. Um, And as far as the weapons, man, I did Genesis. I've done Lazarus. I've seen people get these great healing staffs that have both blessed and refreshing moves. I mean, those two perks are the best perks in the game, I think. And you can get it with the faction staff, but that faction staff is only 520 or 525. Something that some folks don't realize is, your healing is based off of that base damage. And the higher the gear score you have, the higher base damage you have, the higher healing you have. All right. And the higher the bless percentage, your fortify, all that stuff is based on your gear score. So if I have a higher gear score, I can get 28 focus, so on and so forth. So I was using the faction staff for a while, and then I got the 580 staff, Glimmering Mercy, and that was pretty good for a while. I lost the blessed, but it has a 580 gear score and it has that high base damage, and I was actually getting more healing out of the 580 staff than I was with the faction staff that you can get. It's up to you, and it's really hard to drop that blessed perk, but I did it, and that's what I was rolling with for a long time. And then I got this in Genesis. Now my gear score, my watermark isn't that high, and that sucks because this would have been such a good staff. But there's staffs in Lazarus that drop that have blessed and refreshing move. Refreshing move is just like the life staff ability, revitalize. So one of the most important things you can do in a dungeon and healing in general is getting your cooldowns reduced. You've got to be able to get those direct heals. You've got to be able to get those sacred grounds down as much as possible, as fast as possible. And the only way to do that is to reduce your cooldown. Now, this is one perk that you can get, and refreshing moves does the same thing, but I think it's even more. Like when I had that faction staff with refreshing moves, I mean, you pop a heal, a light's embrace, and you hit a couple light attacks, and it's already back up. I miss having that so much. So any life staff you could find that has both blessed and refreshing moves, and it's somewhat of a higher gear score, snag it, use it. You'll never look back. I'm working on getting my life staff watermark up so I can go back in Lazarus and get that staff. I forgot what it's called. I wish I was more prepared. I would have told you. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing staff. Now, this staff that I have right now, Higher Purpose, out heals by a lot the 580 Glimmering Mercy. So if you can get in Genesis and you can get this staff, at a decent gear score, grab it. It's great. I love it. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. My secondary weapon of choice in dungeons, in invasions, not so much wars. I don't use it in wars, but invasions and dungeons, any PvE content, the Void Gauntlet is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the reason it's so amazing is because of Essence Rupture. For anybody that doesn't know, Essence Rupture is one of the best skills in the game, I think. So when you hit an enemy target with it, everybody in your group that's attacking that mob is getting healing based off the damage they do. And you could read the tooltip yourself. 20% of the damage done. So when you have those high damage dealers in your group, you just pop that on a boss, and you don't even have to heal. I mean, it's amazing. And then the tank, they don't do that much damage, but it helps a little bit. Keep them up. And then I would definitely grab this. Tanks. Your tanks need as much stamina as they can get. Once their stamina is gone, they're going down. Unless they're excellent at dodging and know their mechanics. I mean, they're without the stamina, they can't block, and they're taking hits to the face that you just can't heal. So, getting your tank as much stamina as possible is key. And then another skill I grab. I'm going to be playing around with Baleful Tether. The Orb of Decay, I just wasn't feeling it. It didn't really do much healing. It didn't really do much damage. I'm spec'd all into focus, no intelligence, so I dropped it. It's fun to use, but I don't really like it personally. This isn't the end all say all, compendium or anything, but yeah, Orb of Decay, I dropped it. Baleful Tether, I'm gonna probably start playing around with that again, but I don't know what to drop. Oblivion. Oblivion is so awesome. It gives everybody in power. So you run over to your range DPS or run over to your tank and your melee DPS and drop it for them. That's going to give your tank stamina, a bunch of stamina. My tanks are constantly Slender, give me Oblivion, Slender, drop Oblivion. Oh my God, thank you. They love it. They love it. They get so much stamina back, and that's because of yeah, right here, Invigorating Oblivion. So must have, absolute must have. The weaken's pretty good. But yeah, Oblivion. So what it does is it drops a circle at your feet. It does damage for any enemies that are in there, and it grants some power, increasing your damage by 20%. It's huge. The more damage you do, the more increasing damage you're gonna do. It's huge. So I'm constantly dropping that. And one big thing for you healers out there, I'm gonna tell you right now, the faster you can get that boss down, the easier it's going to be. You can skip entire phases. You can get a boss down so fast that they don't even get into the certain, you know, ending difficult phases. You could burn them down so fast, and it just makes that fight so much easier. I can't stress it enough. So the more damage you have, the faster all the bosses are, the easier it's going to be to take them down and get those good loots, man. Um, so yeah, Oblivion, it's a must-have. It's absolutely fantastic. And then you know, when you're doing invasions, when you've got the Spriggans, when you've got the commanders, I mean, just popping that Oblivion, it just helps so much because it gives everybody that damage increase, not just, you know, a couple people. Anybody standing in it is going to get that. And then again, for your tank, getting that stamina, absolutely amazing. Now you might be wondering why I have Void Blade. Void Blade I have because of this bad boy right here. On successful ability hits, which includes melee attacks by the Void Blade, you get a stack of Void Essence at 6 stacks, so that's like 6 hits. It consumes all stacks, and you get a 3-meter aura around you that heals everybody inside of it. So you're getting self-healing, you're getting healing for your group. It's not the biggest, you know, 3 meters isn't that big, but it helps, and it's great. So if you can almost, not Scylla, not the crazy intense bosses, but most of the trash and maybe some of the bosses, like the first boss in Genesis, which is a joke, you don't even need to have your life staff out. You pop Essence Rupture, you pop your Oblivion, you get out your Void Blade, and you just go to town. And everybody's getting healing by attacking that mob that has Essence Rupture, your whole party. And your whole party that's in range is also getting healed by your Void Caller. And you know, 20-second cooldown. It's not. It's kind of long, but you know, it helps. It's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. And then I just grab all the perks for it. You know, Fortify on start, which is great. Critical damage, great. Uh, you know, thrust attack, self heal for 5% damage per disintegrate stack on the target, which you get by doing this. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. As far as the other, you know, passes and stuff, just play around with it. I don't even have level 20 because I wasn't super excited about the Void Gauntlet, but now that I'm using it, it's amazing. I can't wait to get it to level 20. I'm going to do that 580 quest, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, in my opinion, Void Blade is the only secondary weapon you should have in PvE. PvP, completely different story. PvP, now, that's not exactly true. I haven't really done a ton of PvP with the Void Blade, but I think it's going to be pretty decent. Right now, what I use for PvP, and again, I rarely lose a duel, um, is the Great Axe. The Great Axe is just, oh, I say no more, right? The Great Axe is pretty OP, even for a healer. You pop an Amber Gem in there, and the Amber Gem is going to take, you know, up to 50% of that damage and convert it over to nature, which is you know, which scales off your focus. And if you have full focus, it's actually pretty decent damage. Um, and people hate it. It's super annoying fighting a healer with a Great Axe, but that's been around a long time. I don't really need to get into that. Let me see, anything I missed? I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Your skills and the most important part. I'm pretty new to the whole YouTube thing, so I'm going to get a better microphone. I'm sorry for the shitty quality. Doing my best with what I have right now, but people seem to like the content I'm putting out, so I'm going to keep going. So bear with me. I apologize. All right. So, uh, garbage, garbage, not garbage, but not good enough to get rid of one of these. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Sacred Ground is absolutely amazing, amazing, amazing. It does so much healing. It's got it, stays for 12 seconds, which is pretty long. The main thing about the Sacred Ground is right here. If your allies, group members, tanks are standing in your Sacred Ground, and I'm going to show you here in a second the difference, they get 50% more healing from you. That's including yourself and everybody else. If you're standing in Sacred Ground, or your tank is standing in Sacred Ground, and you hit them with a Light's Embrace, you will, even with heavy armor, I'm almost healing my 15k HP tank, and some of them have 16, some of them have 16 and a half, but I'm almost healing, not for full, but it feels like it. When they're about to die and they're in your Sacred Ground and you pop a heal on them, they go up to 3/4 health. Now, if they're not standing in your Sacred Ground and you pop a quick Light's Embrace on them, it does nothing. It is so weak, so it is so important that they're standing in your Sacred Ground. Never throw a Light's Embrace on your tank unless you put down a Sacred Ground first. I mean, even in a clutch situation, if they have a sliver of health and you're like, okay, I have no time for Sacred Ground, I've got to just throw a Light's Embrace on them. You'll heal them for a little bit, and then one more hit and they're dead. If you get that Sacred Ground on them first and then heal them, you just save the group. You just save that boss fight. I mean, it is that important, imperative that you do the Sacred Ground first. Make sure they're standing. If they don't know to stand in the green stuff by now, get rid of them. Like, one of my philosophy is if you're dead and lying on the ground and you see a little green circle next to you, you've got to change something in your life, man. And I vouch for all the healers. That is so annoying. Stay in your circles for your healers, please, tanks, DPS. So many times when I'm doing dungeons, I'll throw a Sacred Ground because my DPS is about to die. I'll throw a Sacred Ground down. What do? They jump out of it. Yeah, they're dodging mechanics. Yeah, they're doing their dodge to get that extra heals or damage. But man, it is so frustrating. So I don't even do it anymore. One of the biggest tips I have for you guys is put a Sacred Ground in for your tank. Do not use Sacred Ground for your ranged DPS. They're not going to stay in it. They can't stay in it. It's really not their fault. They've got to be moving. They're pulling aggro. They're avoiding mechanics. The tank, they're in one spot most of the time. They get pushed around, but generally they're in one spot and you can do the Sacred Ground. Same with melee, so that's fine. Don't waste a Sacred Ground on your ranged DPS because it's not going to do anything. And you know what? You can actually hit your ranged DPS, and since they have so little HP because they have to be wearing light to get every bit of damage they can, it's going to heal them for a pretty good amount. So that's it on Sacred Ground. So when you're fighting a boss, and your tank, your melee, they're low health, please do the Sacred Ground and then hit them with a Light's Embrace or a Beacon. But if your Light's Embrace is off of cooldown, use it. It is so chunky. It is nice. And also, another big thing about Light's Embrace, it for every buff the target has, every buff, if they've got 5 buffs on them, you're going to heal them for 150 more %. And that's huge. And when you put Sacred Ground down, check it out. I've got a buff right away, so that's 1 buff. You put Sacred Ground and Beacon down, that's 2 buffs they have. Plus the 50% they're getting on top of being in your Sacred Ground. So that's 50, 80, 110. I mean, the list goes on. It's insane. It's hard to get all that stuff, but if you can pull it off, you're going to get some pretty nasty heals. It's awesome. It feels good. So I'm going to show you the difference right now, actually. I want to make sure there's nothing else that I'm missing. I'm doing this video partly for my company because, we've got a lot of healers that are coming up and getting geared and, they want to do the most healing they can. So I'm trying to help out. Um, Let me see. Anything I'm missing? All right. Beacon. Beacon is great. I would never drop Beacon. I mean, you can go with Beacon or Orbit Protection. Those are pretty much your two other options. If since you're going to take Sacred Ground, you have to take Light's Embrace, and then you're going to go with either Orbit Protection or Beacon. Orbit Protection is fun, but I just every time I go with it and I practice with it, I experiment with it, I miss Beacon so much. And I even tried Sacred Ground, Orbit Protection, and Beacon. You can't live without Light's Embrace. You cannot. It is so important that this is my build every time, every situation. PVE, PvP does not matter. It doesn't I don't care about the damage from Orbit Protection. This is my go-to right here. So, um, yeah, the Divine Embrace. One thing about Divine Embrace is you definitely want to get the stamina. Um, Again, your tanks need that stamina. I pretty much base my whole build off my tank. Get them that stamina. They need it. That's why I take Oblivion. That's why I take this perk. Um, a lot of people, oh, I don't even know if that's true, but I imagine some people won't think this is very effective or a very good option to pick. I didn't when I first started playing, but after finding out, talking to my tank, he loves the stamina. Oh my god, it helps so much. So those are the only two I take there. I don't get connection. I don't get the bottom thing here because I've got to have this divine blessing. So that's pretty much it for the divine embrace. This one gives you some extra mana. I mean, we're popping mana pots. If you don't have 100 mana pots on you, I don't know what you're doing. So any mana regeneration, I really don't focus on too much. So that's pretty much it for the Light's Embrace. Beacon, I get the infused light. Having that bigger area of effect just helps heal more people. It's not so small. And it's pretty much it's quite a bit bigger than the default without getting this passive. And then Radiance Blessing, obviously 5 seconds longer is going to be great. Never roll without that either. This one is a toss up. It's so much fun to use. I love it, but I just haven't been using it. The other passives in this tree, dodge, bend light, must have. I'm dodging so much, even if you're not dodging just for the buff. You're just dodging all the time. Every boss fight, there's mechanics you got to get rid of, or you got to get out of. There in PvP, you're dodging constantly, and if you're not, you should be. And then with the medium armor, you get 3 dodges, so that's 3 times that you can get that 20% buff for your heals. So I always get that. That's a no-brainer. I skip defensive light. I rarely block. Sorry. And then protector's touch. Um, don't really use it. Could have some application in PvP, I guess, but I don't personally use it. Balance. Don't use it. And Spirits United. Don't really use it. Now I have to check that, and I'll do some more testing just to and maybe update in the comments or something if because Light's Embrace, every buff that the target has, your allies, you get 30% more healing on them. So I'm pretty sure this is a group-wide buff. I mean, it says it is, and I'm gonna have to check and make sure. I should have done that before this video. I apologize, but if that's an extra buff that's on all the time, the whole time you're grouped up, then it would be worth taking because everybody's always gonna get that extra 30% healing, everybody. So I really got to find that out and find out for sure. Again, I apologize. um so oh yeah, if you have a buff, heal for 10% more. That's not every buff that you have, but you know you will heal for 10% more if you have a buff. So that's a must have. That's a constant 10% pretty much. And then life staff buffs you grant last 20% longer. I think that's a must have. And then in the healing tree, I always grab Absolved. I mean, that's another no-brainer. You don't use any mana for your light attacks. And then I use Blissful Touch. I was using this in the beginning for Lazarus. Everybody thought that you can cleanse that debuff that you get when you drop down that orb, but it doesn't work. So that's really the only app. I mean, I'm sure there's some great times or great applications for this, but I personally don't use it. And I'm a pretty effective healer. Um, Desperate Speed. When you heal an ally below 50% health, life staff ability cooldowns are reduced by 10%. Damn good perk. Sacred Protection. Basically, you're going to have a 5% healing increase all the time. Another good one. Revitalize. This is what I was talking about. Getting this with the refreshing moves on your life staff, it's amazing. All your stuff's off the cooldown so fast. You could just pump out those heals, and you don't even have time to stop. And then the healing aura. I mean, I don't really notice it. I don't even notice when it procs, but what it says seems like it's a good choice. Sorry. And then Intensify. If you have time to use this, with the Intensify, with the Bend Light, with all the buffs and your Light's Embrace buffs and everything, I mean, if you can get this off and actually have time to get your heavies in, then it's a great option. Get all 3 of your heavies, pop that Sacred Ground, pop that Light's Embrace. You're going to be doing some massive healing if you have time. Most of the time in these end game dungeons, it's just so frantic you don't have time to sit there and try to get 3 heavies. But if you can, do it. And then, of course, the big one. This is a no-brainer. When you heal an ally below 50% health, they're healed for 30% more. Just another, healing buff. And, that's what I use. I'm not saying this is the best, but this is what works for me. This is what gets me through Lazarus and Genesis and topping the war charts, the invasion charts. And, it just really goes well together. I really don't think there's any other option in here except Mending Touch. If I could find a reason to get it, I'll use it. But for now, I don't get it. I think points are better spent elsewhere. And just to touch on these really quick, Divine Embrace, super weak, maybe. So that's pretty much it for that. Now I'm going to show you before I close out the video that increased healing from the Sacred Ground. All right. I gotta go find a big boy. These guys don't do damage fast enough. So we'll grab this dude over here. Oh, always gotta mess up my videos, man. Oh, hope you guys don't mind. I'm gonna grab this flower really quick. Ah, you're kidding me. Alright, well, I'll let him attack, whatever. I'll just reset him. Or not. You know what? I can use 2 of them. It'll go faster. Alright, so I'm gonna get pretty low. Hopefully I don't die. If I die, please forgive me. Still new to YouTube. Still new to editing. Okay, that's pretty much... I'll get one more bow shot. Okay, I'll just do it right now. Watch this. Self-heal with Light's Embrace. 3,300 healing. That's good. If it was heavy armor, it'd be so much less. Now, watch when I'm in Sacred Ground. One more. One more. Oh, getting nervous. Come on. Oh, there we go. Now watch this. Full health. That's what you're doing for your tank. Full health. I mean, the difference is so amazing. I mean, if you absolutely have to, use the Light's Embrace without the Sacred Ground, but it is such a waste. It's amazing how much more damage or healing you can do with the Sacred Ground. Alright, well, I'm going to kill this guy. If you guys have any questions, maybe something I missed, please let me know in the comments. If you find any of this helpful, I'm just starting out on the YouTube thing. I'm super excited about it. I'm getting some subscribers, but I really have none. If you can subscribe and like, if it helps, and you enjoy my content, please do so. It's a lot of fun for me. And, maybe I can make a little money too. So anyway, again, anything else that I missed? If you guys have any comments, whatever, let me know. Good, bad, flame, I don't care. I won't delete anything unless it's racist or something like that. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.